Hello, Cable 12 family. I know a lot of you are already preparing for tonight's upcoming winter storm that is quickly approaching our area. And we've got meteorologist Jamey Singleton in the Cable 12 Weather Center, keeping track of all of the latest information that has been coming in. And he's here to talk with us about some of the things that we need to do to get prepared, as well as what to expect out of this winter storm. So Jamey, kick it off with us. What do folks need to be doing right now to get prepared for tonight's upcoming winter storm?
Well, Kevin, they need to prepare for power outages. I know a lot of folks still don't have power, but if you have any way to do so for the rest of the afternoon today into this evening, and really you've got up to tonight until about midnight, 10 o'clock to midnight, you need to get your affairs in order. Get your prescriptions picked up at the pharmacy, maybe get cash out of the ATM if we lose power and have access to that. Get water together in containers. We've got some 5-gallon buckets at my house where we've got that ready to go in case our water goes out, with us having a well system, the power being out there. Also, have the generators. If you have that in hand, go ahead and get the gasoline tanks ready for that, and just be ready for prolonged power outages and to be off of the roads also for a long time, because we're going to have a lot of ice and snow on the roads this time, but we're also going to have probably some long-lasting effects from trees down and power lines down that's going to keep folks stuck inside for a long time. And an alternate heat source too, batteries, flashlights, all of that stuff, these power banks too, have those ready to go, charged up. You should be charging them right now.
And Jamey, it's very important. We want folks getting prepared for this storm. So now walk us through, what's the overall outlook for this event that you're looking at right now?
Well, Kevin, it's going to be a little bit of everything. To start, we're probably going to start out with snow and sleet at some point around midnight tonight. And it could be enough, this is a change, but we could see enough to actually coat the ground up to several inches. I'm going 1 to 4 inches of snow and sleet for the Franklin County area and most of the surrounding areas for tonight. After that, it's an ice storm. And it's going to continue all day Thursday, long-lasting ice into Thursday night, finally tapering off Friday. So a long duration event, starting out with snow and sleet, but mainly freezing rain, I'm afraid, or sleet for the day Thursday and into Thursday night.
And Jamey, let's take a step back. What is worst case scenario? What do folks need to be prepared for?
That's a good question, Kevin. By far the biggest threat is freezing rain. And the scenario that would be the worst case is if everything comes in a little bit warmer aloft. What that would do is keep us almost entirely freezing rain throughout the event. And there are several models that show that, freezing rain being the predominant precip type. It could be a situation where not everybody gets the freezing rain, but Franklin County and especially areas across Southside have that chance. And if it's all freezing rain, you're looking at amounts that would be over 1 inch of flat ice, even more than that in some locations if most of it is freezing rain.
And if it's okay with you, let's be optimistic for just a moment. What is the best case scenario for our area?
Yeah, it doesn't hurt to be optimistic, because honestly, one of the chances in this winter storm is that we actually end up with more sleet. The NAM model in its parent model, the NAM 3 kilometer, the higher res NAM model, actually is forecasting a 3 to 4 inch sleet storm. Sleet would be best because you can actually drive on sleet with caution versus a glaze of ice. And sleet, unlike the freezing rain, it's ice pellets. It bounces off of the trees and the power lines, and it just accumulates on the ground. We would still have some problems with ice refreezing and melting and becoming a glaze in the days to come. But if we could stay mostly sleet from this, or even a little bit of snow versus the freezing rain, that would be the best case scenario.
And Jamey, you're always telling us that forecasts can change. Have there been any changes to this forecast over the last couple of days?
One of the big changes is the sleet we were just talking about. Some of the modeling is shifting now from all freezing rain across the entire area and introducing lower freezing rain amounts and going with more sleet. Also, the snow factor, mainly north of 460, Roanoke, Lynchburg, and areas to the north, that's changed. The timing has changed, not at the onset. We're still going to see things develop around midnight Wednesday night into early Thursday morning. But now, as we go into Thursday night into early Friday, there will be actually a second and third surge of moisture that'll come in after whatever we get tonight and Thursday. That's going to prolong the dangers from freezing rain, because I do think that second and third surge will be freezing rain across most of the area. And then down the road, it was looking like a little front was going to come through Monday. It looks like that could be more significant, and it could be a colder system. So I'm having to introduce wintry mix and or snow to Monday's forecast of next week.
You know, a lot of folks are talking, these last couple of storms that we've got, it hasn't been that cold. Are we expecting it to stay cold throughout the entirety of the storm?
That's exactly right. And a lot of the systems, it's been a busy winter, but we haven't had any, really cold systems, except the one we had in late January where we got 5 inches of snow. This time, we've got a chunk of that Arctic air that's been in place. So the short answer is yes. Plenty cold. The roads will be plenty cold. They already are. The surfaces are going to be plenty cold to support whatever falls to stick instantly. And now throughout the event, instead of changing over to rain like we did Saturday, we're going to stay probably below freezing throughout Thursday into Thursday night, and that's going to prolong the effects of the freezing rain as well.
You know, one of the words we always talk about with winter storms, Jamey, dry slots. For snow lovers, that can be a detriment to those totals. Are we expecting any dry air to move in with this storm?
Kevin, unfortunately, that's a great question, because dry slots can totally bust the forecast wide open in terms of it not verifying. With the dry slot we had in that last, the other storm, the storm before last, we were supposed to get a lot of snow. It was a more west-oriented wind down at the jet stream level, and that cut off the Gulf of Mexico a significant amount. We had storms down south that also blocked that moisture. This time the moisture is coming in more directly out of the south. And already we can look at the radar and you can see that there's lots of snow and lots of precipitation down to our south. In my view, I went back over the storm that we got the dry slot in. That was one of the factors. We already didn't have moisture down to the south, so we didn't have anything to advect or move northward. This storm already has a significant amount of moisture with it, and it looks to me like it's going to be fairly hard to get any dry air in here. We may have a lull in between low pressure systems. That would come probably late Thursday afternoon into Thursday evening. But overall, it's a very moist system, and there's going to be a lot of moisture, over an inch to maybe an inch and a half of liquid equivalent coming in with this one.
You know, we always love to compare storms, Jamey. So how is this one shaping up? Is it comparable to the one that we saw on Saturday?
Well, every storm is different. That's a good point. But the other thing is, Saturday, got a lot of people's attention. We've been used to a lot of tricky winter weather this year, so I thought maybe people that told me they weren't really prepared were probably thinking back to the last ice that we had in the past, 2 or 3 times we've had that this winter. It's been fairly minor, and Saturday woke a lot of people up. So we are going to compare this to Saturday just so it gets people, under the notion of we need to prepare for something that could be bad. I do think, Kevin, that it's going to be just as bad as Saturday, where we had 1/4 of an inch of flat ice to as much as 3/4 of an inch of flat ice. That's the amount of total ice on the limb, if you add up both sides, or on a surface like a deck or whatever. But we are looking at least Saturday's system, and probably in some areas, especially south of Rocky Mountain, the south side, and maybe even for all of Franklin County, we are looking at a larger scale ice storm. And that means amounts of up to an inch, maybe more, of flat ice. And not just over south side. It's fairly possible that we could see those amounts over a larger area, whereas Mecklenburg and down towards South Hill, Charlotte Courthouse, southern Franklin County and Floyd County, they were hardest hit this past Saturday. We could see those amounts, if we don't have the sleet, over a much larger area, including all of the NRV and even up into the Roanoke Valley and Lynchburg.
Jamey, it seems like since February hit, we flipped a switch. We've got an active weather pattern. What's changed? What's caused this increase in activity in our weather pattern?
It's a good question, Kevin. We've had like minor disturbances. It seems like now we've really flipped the switch and we've gone into these mega storms that have affected the country with the last one that we had, and now, going into Texas, and now this new one coming in tonight. What happened about a month and a half to 2 months ago is we saw something called sudden stratospheric warming way upstairs. And what that basically does is it allows the jet stream to buckle and block, and things get jammed up in the jet stream. It's like a traffic jam, basically. That allows for stronger storms, snowier storms, because it typically separates the cold air from the moist air. And in this case, we've got a very active subtropical jet stream now, and we're also looking at now this big dome of Arctic air. We talked about the lack of cold air before this winter, from November, December, into January, and then going into February now, we've suddenly seen the effect of that sudden stratospheric warming. There's about a month to 2 month delay sometimes, and when that happens and we start to see the effects of the polar vortex, that's a piece of it that came down, and that's what's given Texas and those areas across the south all that snow and ice and extreme cold. We're seeing pieces of that move in from the northeast, and that's what's affecting our weather here in Virginia as well.
And again, Jamey, one more time for the folks who are out there watching, what do they need to be doing right now so they're not caught off guard and they're prepared for this storm?
Well, first thing you need to do probably is go ahead and get your devices on those chargers. I don't know if you've got a fast charger or a slow charger, but if you've got the power banks, go ahead and get those charged, because they can take a while. They may be drained down from your last storm on Saturday. They can take about a day or two to charge. So I would go ahead and, if not already, definitely want to have those ready to go when the power goes out. Go ahead and get the gas in the generator, and go ahead and remember to put the generator in a safe place so that you don't get the dangerous carbon dioxide fumes that are, odorless and can kill you. We actually had some calls in Franklin County of carbon dioxide possible poisoning just from the Saturday system. You need to be, again, stocking up food-wise, and get some cash on hand, get your vehicles ready to go there, and by that I mean have the ice scrapers ready, and be ready to be inside for a long time, and be ready to be without power for a long time. Charge your devices, do all of that right now, and get the batteries in hand. Know what may happen. Know that if you live in trees that surround your home, know that they may come down. And so you may have to hunker down in the basement or another room, or even go to a neighbor's house or a friend or family's house that may not have the trees around it, to go ahead and be a lot safer than having those trees come down, because the tree down could kill people. Unfortunately, we've seen that happen before too. Just prepare for the worst, hope for the best.
Hopefully this answered a lot of questions that you may have about the upcoming winter storm that is bearing down on our area. We just want you to have an opportunity to stay well informed, be weather aware, and be prepared. So stay tuned to meteorologist Jamey Singleton on Facebook, as well as cable12ynn.com/weather for all the latest changes and any important weather information that you may need to know. And we appreciate you taking time out of your busy day to spend a little bit with us and being prepared for this upcoming winter storm.